It's me, John D. Villarreal, here with Paul F. Villarreal by phone. We've got live election analysis and results. Super Tuesday is today. It's unbelievable. We've got all kinds of stuff going on right now. Super Tuesday, big results. This is it. We're going to see, is Nikki Haley in the mix? Is it going to be Trump? Is Trump just going to steamroll her, as we think that was probably going to happen, is actually happening right now as we speak? Joined by Paul F. Villarreal by phone. My voice is still a little bit not 100%, and definitely be sure to tune into my shows on Monday on News Talk 1040 a.m. out of Tampa, live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as we are right now. Hey, we're joined by Paul Villarreal right now. Let's talk very quickly here and hit some highlights on some of the results as we're seeing them right now. We've got just almost a super sweep with Trump. We've got Trump winning Virginia with 65% in, 82% in, 82% in. Trump's got 65% of the votes right there. We've got Trump with Maine leading, still very early. Massachusetts looks a little dicey, could go either way. Vermont looks a little bit dicey. Trump is just crushing Arizona early on there. Biden also sweeping his side, but we're still a little bit early here on Super Tuesday. Joined by Paul Villarreal. You've been working this on X. You've got a huge following. Well, I mean, relatively, you've got a sizable following on X. That's always very relative. Obviously, we're not seeing your Elon or anyone like that, but over 17,300 and rolling. Paul, what are you seeing out there right now with these elections? What do you think it means? We've had some different statements by Nikki Haley since the show last night. We definitely want to talk about that. And what's the reaction on X?
Well, right now, Trump is 5 for 5 on the night.
Huge.
And that is Maine, Oklahoma, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia. And Vermont is very close right now with a real chance that Haley's going to win it. And Massachusetts is early, although it's close. That the New York Times meter is leaning heavily towards Trump. So that's kind of where it stands right now. I mean, I think that this is shaping up the way people thought. Vermont is an open primary with relatively few voters. Well, it looks like they're going to have around maybe 50,000 to 60,000 voters. Very light, very liberal place. And so if Democrats want to come out and support Nikki Haley, they can. And that kind of looks like what is happening right now. Now, there's reports that Nikki Haley is back at home in South Carolina, and she has no public events scheduled for tonight and so forth.
I heard that. So very strange. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I don't know if that means that she's going to, I mean, if she has no events scheduled, I don't know if she's going to drop out unless she just sent like a message to the media. I guess we're going to have to see how things shake out. But it was it was not a good sign for her early that Virginia went to Trump pretty quick. Like Virginia's polling closed at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and they called the race before 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. That was one of the states that people thought was going to be close, and it wasn't close. So that kind of gave you, it was an early indication that it might not be her night.
No doubt about that. It's not looking like her night at all, in my opinion. And I mean, we've seen sort of mixed messages, I think, from Nikki Haley. On the one hand, it was like, hey, Super Tuesday. Everything was about Super Tuesday. And then on the other hand, it was like, well, we're in it for the long haul and we need an alternative and independence, stuff like that. We've also seen some different things right there as well, because before it was like all talking about soccer moms and suburbs and independence and things like that. Now, recently, we've seen Steve Zucchi and I think Fox and Friends really put it on her and was like, "Hey, are you going to run as no labels, independence?" No. I'm a conservative Republican. Really reminds me of Mitt Romney, severely conservative and stuff like that. Where do you think Nikki Haley is right now? I mean, she seemed a little bit, I don't want to say defiant. I don't know what the right word is. So energized. I don't know. I'm not sure what the right word is. But what do you think is going through the mind of Nikki Haley? Paul, are you?
Well, it's
go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, sorry, I
You're fine.
Muted myself twice.
Yep.
I'm not sure what's going through her mind. I mean, I think that there was a real discussion that she might be considering leaving the Republican Party And I sounds like she's kind of changed her mind on that. If she's saying, as you said, kind of the Mitt Romney severe conservative thing, basically her version of that. Now, I want to tell you this. There's somebody I follow who is they do like they definitely do volunteering and kind of like some at least high level volunteering in the political world. And they said tonight that they were heard or were told that Kristen Sinema, who just announced that she was going to be stepping down from the Senate in Arizona, they were told, this person, that Kristen Sinema is going to run on the top of the no labels ticket for president. And so that's a really interesting development because, of course, people thought that Nikki Haley might be doing that. Now, again, we have to see if this actually plays out. Even if she was thinking about doing that, of course, people might convince her not to do that. So this person might have solid information, but the story could change for Sinema herself. But boy, that would be really, really interesting. And it's also interesting to think, how is that going to affect the Arizona race? I think most people would naturally say it's going to favor Gallego rather than Lake, but I don't know. Apparently, the polling was fairly neutral about who she was taking votes from, Democrats or Republicans. So I don't know, but I did not expect that. I hadn't even thought about that. And we have to keep our eye on that.
Definitely have to keep our eye on that, see what's going on right there. And the other thing is that, the whole thing with Nikki Haley, and I'm going to be very careful what I say right here and right now. And I don't want to make this personal or anything like that, but I feel like this is maybe important, maybe timely, and see what you think about this. I mean, I made a post on LinkedIn about Miami Tech and some of the news around Mayor Suarez and stuff like that. And he's been out there now, has finally endorsed President Trump as well. And the reason why that's sort of a couple things important, I'll say this very quickly because we want to get back to the news of the day in reaction to that. But I do think that it kind of possibly maybe gives us a window into the potential mindset here. And everything's speculation. We're purely speculating, full blast right here. And so our personal opinion only, et cetera, for entertainment purposes. But Mayor Suarez, I think, was linked in the news with Nikki Haley as a possible VP running mate, maybe being vetted for that. And I think, Suarez was kind of positioned himself as, hey, I can work with both. I'm a Republican, but I can work with both sides. Very much in that Nikki Haley lane, at least from a week ago, right? And that's why this twist. I don't know. I don't know if Nikki Haley saw this show or someone, or who knows what, that on News Talk 1040, when we've been talking about this, saying that that's not a viable lane. That's not going to really work out long term. We didn't think so. So anyway, I do this post. I'll refer you to my LinkedIn. You can check out that. I don't want to spend time on that. I do this post kind of detailing some of the news of the day there and some political analysis and some, business analysis and stuff like that. Okay, great. Fast forward as well. In part of that post, I tagged two people. Now, again, people's different accounts. You don't know, is it really them? For bigger accounts or public figures, are they running it? Is their staff running it? Who knows? So big question marks, and there's fake accounts and there's duplicate accounts. So I don't know. I have no idea. But I tagged one person. I'm not even going to talk about that right now. But that person was, I believe, connected with Mayor Suarez and public figure, this and that, whatever, as part of the Miami Tech thing. I'm not even going to deal with that. The other person I thought I tagged, again, could have been a different person, could have been staff member, could have been duplicate account, could have been a fake account. Who knows, right? I didn't do tremendous diligence on this, but I thought the other person I thought I tagged was Nikki Haley. I don't know if it was. I don't know even if it was the appropriate account, maybe it was a wrong account, fake account, duplicate account. I have no idea. Even if it was the right account, is it hers? Is it a staff, or who knows what? But if that was Nikki Haley's account anyway, I think I may be wrong. I'm not alleging anything. It's my personal opinion, but go look at that post on my LinkedIn. Did that account block me? Did that possibly Nikki Haley account block me? If so, That's very, very interesting. Like, you're a public figure. You can't take any. I don't know. I mean, go look at the post. I mean, it was I just stated what I thought. I mean, pretty much what I said right there, which is I thought that Nikki Haley was met with Mayor Suarez and was possibly vetted him for VP. Now, there's other things that post. We're not going to get into that right now. But now we have Nikki Haley was talking about Super Tuesday. So that, I think that's very interesting. If that is Nikki Haley's account, if it's not Nikki Haley's account, it said Nikki Haley. If it's not Nikki Haley's account, why would you, if they block me, why would you block me? If it's a staff member, I mean, listen, Paul, I mean, you've done a lot of research on this, and I definitely want your comments here in a second about the DeSantis campaign, where there was DeSantis, but then there was the staff and the influencers. And the staff, some people had more criticism of the staff than they did the campaign, or, than the candidate. It wouldn't be the first time. And so, to me, if that was Nikki Haley, if Nikki Haley did block me, or the staff blocked me, or whatever, for one post about Suarez and VP, does that show thin skin, if you will? Does that show an inability to deal with any kind of scrutiny or criticism? And we've seen these clips. Now, again, you're on the campaign trail and people come up and they try to get these viral moments. It was kind of like that person that kind of, if you will, sort of ambushed. I don't want to say ambush. It was a public event, but it just kind of was, I don't know, being a little bit of a punk to Governor DeSantis in Iowa and stuff like that. And it kind of seemed like a stunt. But we've seen multiple times, multiple clips of Nikki Haley, with the Civil War comments, other stuff, veterans going up to her. And Paul, I just don't feel like she handles criticism very well. I mean, your take on that?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't think she handles criticism particularly well. Some of these candidates tend to really get into bubbles and they block people. You mentioned the DeSantis campaign staff. They seem pretty much hair trigger on that. Although, to be fair, I will say that none of them blocked me. On the other hand, I didn't interact with them at all. But they did seem to have blocked other people and really gotten into it with a number of people, which I really think hurt his campaign significantly. Yeah, when you told me about that, I'm like, really? Because you told me that, like, she kind of like, right, that she blocked you or whatever. And it's like, are you sick? I mean,
it was very bizarre.
That was such such a small and benign criticism. I mean, well, let me just say this too.
Go.
President Trump has won 2 more states, Massachusetts and Alabama. So he is now 7 for 7. And we're really waiting on now only Vermont. I think that is probably the only remaining state that Nikki Haley has an actual chance to win. And right now she's winning it. But Trump is rolling right now.
No, thank you for bringing out that news. And I want to say a couple of things real quick. And I'll say this. To Mayor Suarez's credit, great credit. And listen, I don't think it's a heavy lift. I mean, I think if you're in the public sphere, there's people that have criticized me and I meet him, and you're cool with them, stuff like that. And when I met Mayor Suarez, I had some questions and some criticism. When I met him, he was cool to me. Okay. I'm not saying we were going to hang out. We're best buddies or anything like that. We took a couple pictures. We talked a little bit, whatever. He was cool to me. Staff was cool to me, whatever like that. That's being a professional. Okay, and I've criticized Suarez, and it's not from it's like, dude, and I mean, I think it's from a good place of just trying to be legit and trying to help Miami Tech, stuff like that. And he's never untagged it, never blocked me, and I think that he's, if you read his accounts with the tweet heard around the world and stuff like that, and again, phenomenal job of publicity and promotion and stuff like that, and you got to hand it to him. And he's never untagged himself or blocked me, anything like that. So I respect that. I respect that. And I'm not trying to be a punk or a heckler or anything like that. I'm a commentator. I've got a show in a major market, okay, on drive time. Okay, so if you look at the top 4 markets in Florida, which is like ground zero, #1 spot for Republican politics, conservative politics right now, you got the Miami area. I had a show there. You've got the Orlando area. You got the Jacksonville area, and you've got the Tampa greater area. I'm in Tampa, players. I mean, it's a major market. I'm not saying that. I mean, whatever, but I mean, my show's from 4 to 6 p.m. drive time. You can't get more serious than that. pretty much, along with obviously live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and X, along with the degrees and political expert and all the rest. It doesn't even matter. And I'm not saying I'm anybody, but I guess I'm not a nobody, you know, and like I like to say on the show, you know, I am a nobody. I just know a lot of things. I know a lot of people. Paul out there with 17,300 plus followers, and the bulk of those followers, you know, Paul got when he was anonymous. And now that he's decloaked, if you will, we're getting more and more. And so what I'm saying is, I want to wrap on this because I don't want to make it about us. We have news to talk about. If that is Nikki Haley or anyone connected to her campaign, and I don't know why you'd call yourself Nikki Haley on LinkedIn if you weren't, but we do have a lot of fake accounts and duplicates and who knows? I don't know. I can't say that. I can't prove that. We're not alleging anything. But wow, that would if true, that would show some very thin skin. Like you said, that was all that was my recounting of what I thought was news reports. How would I know that other than reading it and stuff like that? If it's not true, it's not. I mean, and you could correct it, you could untag yourself. It's just very weird. Now, I mean, you know, I don't know if we want to talk about your stuff with Jesse Kelly, Paul, or anything. I don't know. I don't know if we want to get into that. But we've seen these multiple clips of Nikki Haley on the campaign trail, seeming very thin skinned. And then when you have this, it was all Super Tuesday, Super Tuesday, Super Tuesday. And she was out making all these statements and doing everything. And now we're hearing that we're not going to have any comments from Nikki Haley and she went back home. That's weird, dude. It almost reminds me of when Clinton lost to Trump and then we didn't hear from her until the next day. And she sent Mark Penn out there. I just felt that was very weak, Paul. Very weak. And I don't want to hear people talk, you're being, no, it has nothing to do with gender or anything else. It has to do with the candidate. If Trump did that, everybody would be all over him. Full blast. Like, I mean, imagine that. Imagine if Trump got beat, when he got beat by Biden, we didn't hear from Trump. We heard from Brad Parscale. Just think about that. Think about what people would say to that. Paul, what are your comments?
Yeah, I agree with you. Nobody likes a front runner. And we've had Nikki Haley come out and do victory speeches when she loses. So being able to have the grace to come out when you actually lose, which you're losing big tonight, that would be, that would be welcome, I think, in a lot of quarters. And I think people are, just again, from the pollster and what he said and some other people, I think people are just getting tired of her. And I'm talking about Republican upper level people.
Bingo.
I think people are just kind of like tired of her act.
Yeah. This is why you got to follow Paul on X. This is why you got to listen to the John D. Villarreal radio show on News Talk 1040 AM. And obviously Paul's on there like all the time. Okay. What he just said right there was so crucial. That was such a crucial point. Crucial point. We've heard from Nikki Haley, the criticism of Trump is the adults in the room, foreign policy experience and serious and gravitas and all. And I apologize, my voice is out. And here is a time to show just a teeny bit of leadership. And instead, you're a front runner. That's perfectly said. You're so tough. You can do the tough decisions and all her 5-inch heels comments and the identity politics stuff that she was leading there with and she got into it with Vivek. And now here comes the reckoning with reality with the voters. It's hiding out, dude. It's hiding out. I don't get that, dude. I mean, that's a bad look, dude. That's a bad look. Now, listen, I haven't run for president. I can't say what I would do. I'm not trying to be a punk. I'm not trying to pile on. But, we heard for so long, like, hey, we can't drop out. And people say, hey, there's no path to win. You lost your home state by a lot. No path to win. Everyone else is dropping out and endorsing Trump. And you're like, nope, I'm in it to win it. You're not telling me when to drop out. Ainsley Earhart, Steve Ducey, this and that. And now here we come. The voters have a chance to speak. And this is what we got. That's for Nikki Haley.
Look,
sad. Go ahead, Paul.
This happens. Unfortunately, we see this, and this as a competitor yourself,
a former
competitor in athletics. This happens all the time in the sports world. where you have people they're running to the microphones when they win.
Great analogy.
They're ready to go and ready to give you the whole breakdown when they win, and when they lose, they're out of there. They're leaving the locker room early.
No shaking hands.
They leave. No shaking hands. All of that, and that's the feeling that I'm getting with Nikki Haley, and just nobody likes that. I mean, again, look, we've talked about this before on air. Nikki Haley came into this race late. DeSantis ran most of the marathon for her, and she came in like the last 500 meters, pretending that like she ran the whole race. And now you can't even like leave with grace. And it's just what you said, what we've talked about earlier, which is she doesn't know how to lose.
Right.
Because maybe she hasn't lost, but you better,
she's
you
never lost.
Don't seem to have a lot of experience with it,
Sorry about that, Paul. My understanding is, and I haven't done the diligence on it. I'm relying on reports, but my understanding is she's never lost a political race, and I think that's part of the thing. And it's almost like, there's a lot of analogies like this. I think the sports analogy is definitely apt. You're in there in a boxing ring, you have an undefeated fighter, and it's not looking good, and they don't know when they're beat. Sometimes, it's for your career, for your health, and stuff like that. I mean, obviously it's a different situation here than a political thing. But I mean, there's times where that's why you have a corner, because you need to throw in the towel sometimes, because sometimes you don't have the best judgment about when you're in that combative situation in that sports arena. You need someone to throw in the towel, because you may not understand how to do that when you're in that mix. Fox News, very, very disappointed in Fox News here. I just like people are really wondering like what's up with Fox News. I mean, I gotta be honest with you. Okay, we have a headline here. Think about this. Trump has won everything. He's been endorsed by everyone, former president, this and that, whatever. And here's the headline from Fox right now. So Trump is hugely winning the night, blowing it away, definitely going to be the presumptive nominee. And the headline from Fox News right now, quote, hey, as of 9:03 at March 5th on the East Coast time, 9:03 East Coast time, quote, Haley battling for first victory of the night in tight Vermont race. Trump picks up string of victories. That's your headline, dude? How about having a big picture of Trump saying Trump blowout, because that's what it is. I mean, that we're like, and now I understand in the news business, you got to create some drama, for clicks. I don't know what it is. I mean, but what kind of headline is that, Paul?
Yeah, I don't like that. And as you said, people think, Fox has been very suspect for a while now. I'll just tell you this: Trump has won Texas. That has been called, so that's 8 for 8.
Let's go.
With again the only thing up for grabs right now is Vermont. Again, it does look like she has a very real chance to win there. There's only 17 delegates. It's essentially a blip. Like there's like 1,000 delegates at stake tonight. So that's that gives you the context of what we're talking about here. But yeah, I mean, people are not happy with Fox. This has been going on for years, going back to 2020.
Yeah.
Honestly, went back to 2016 before Murdoch kind of finally seemed to come around, because I believe Murdoch's candidate in that race, based on reports, was Marco Rubio. Of course, that didn't work out. And I don't think there's ever been like a great affinity from Rupert Murdoch or Fox towards Trump. I think sometimes they've just tolerated him or had to deal with him because he was the guy. But, I mean, this is the kind of pettiness and unfortunate element that really, I think, sometimes really sabotages the Republicans. They kind of get in their own way, whereas the Democrats seem much better about, okay, it's time for Bernie, it's time for you to stand down, or it's time for this other person to get out. And, some of the Republican people just aren't really great at that, apparently.
Yeah, very interesting. And now we are seeing some different things over there. We've got right here leading candidates. And I don't know if this was right now or before the 9 or something. Probably right now. You've got Trump with 297 delegates, Haley with 43. I mean, it's just so, and it's only going to be way more lopsided and a blowout by the end of the night. No doubt about it. Fox has just changed their headline there about the Texas thing, as you just, the news, as you just said. So that's very important. There, I don't know what's going on, with Fox and stuff, and I feel like there's been this idea that we can kind of, meaning the GOP, the insiders, kind of like the Tea Party, or whatever, kind of push push the narrative and tell the voters what it's going to be, and that's just not going to happen. Also, very, very important. I think you mentioned this, excuse me, earlier. Apologize. That Michelle Obama has stated that she will not run. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, her office said that to the media today.
Well, and there you go. And then so very interesting. So we're coming down to it. I mean, the reality is setting in. Some people keep talking about it's not going to be Biden. It's not going to be Biden. Look for me. But I mean, as we get closer here, it is looking like Trump and Biden, as we said it the whole time. What do you think about that? Do you think that there will be any kind of swerve with Biden? I mean, how do you see that right now on the Democratic side? Because we've got primaries on both.
The main thing for me, and I know this from being here, is I don't think any other Democrat can win Pennsylvania. And I don't know if they would any of the other Rust Belt states except for maybe Whitmer and Michigan. Because of that, because of how important Pennsylvania is, I've said previously that I really think this contest is going to come down to Michigan and Pennsylvania. I don't think you can run anybody besides Biden. Look, if you ran Michelle, if you ran Newsom, if you ran Whitmer here, they'd all get crushed. I mean, Michelle probably do the best, but it wouldn't be enough. There's no way. Joe has a different thing that works here that the other Democrats on the main stage or the bench, the big bench, they just don't have it. And I think you pretty much have to stick with him because of that.
Interesting. What's your take from tonight? I mean, it's we wanted to go on the air and talk about this and be able to discuss it. We can get the chat here. Some of the chats from X I know comes through, as does YouTube. I'm not totally sure about the other services right now, but we'll definitely try to follow up. But what do you think is happening? Like what's your take? I think this is a big Trump blowout. I think that Trump's the definite nominee. I don't know where Nikki Haley goes from here or how she can go forward from here, quite frankly, in terms of people's support. But I guess let's start with that. Do you think that we're going to see Nikki Haley in this race a week from now?
You know, I would get out if I were her. I mean, that's certainly my own, this is not going to get better. And tonight is kind of like reality. All reality is sitting tonight. And he's going to win probably a minimum of, I think there's like 15 or 16 states tonight. He's going to win probably 14 or 15 states. And maybe he loses Vermont. I mean, he's won, that will put him at like, I don't know, like 23-2 at the worst. I mean, there's no path for her. At best, or at the most, or at the latest, I think this would be clinched on 2 weeks from tonight on the 19th. There's just nothing here. I mean, all you're doing is making yourself look like don't you get what's happening and that there's no way for this to go anywhere?
This is the problem.
Because I think
go ahead.
I just say this quickly to finish. It's one thing to stay in and try to, if you're kind of trying to be a thorn in the side of Trump and you kind of hang in when it's somewhat competitive. When you're getting just crushed, you look like a joke.
Right.
And so you kind of, it takes all of your authority, authority away. And
all the heat.
And then it becomes a negative thing. So that's what I kind of think. I think she's out soon.
Yeah, this is the thing, is it's like what you said right there, and I'll kind of put a couple more angles on that. I think she wants to stay in, but I think that's a pure guess. I have total speculation. I feel like in my opinion, I feel like she wants to stay in, but I think people are actually tapping her on the shoulder saying, you really can't. And I think it's starting to sink in. And so it's kind of like, think about it this way. You had a chance to date this cool guy, cool girl, something like that, or you had a chance at a job, you had an offer, and you were still waiting, or a house. You could have bought this house, and then but you wanted to see a couple other houses come in, or a couple other job offers, and just anything like that, right? Just that kind of those kind of scenarios. You didn't do it. Right? You didn't do it. You didn't end up asking, Johnny or Susie to the dance and stuff. And you were kind of waiting to see what else came in, or you're waiting to, you got one job offer, but you're waiting to see on these other 2 or 3 and whatever. And then you waited too long and everything went away. Johnny got a date. Susie got a date. These other, the other offers went away. They filled the positions, and then you were left with nothing. And the problem of it is Nikki Haley stayed in and thought that her leverage was going to increase. Maybe this is my speculation. It's been speculation, right? That maybe she thought her leverage was going to increase as she stayed in, and instead it totally decreased. And now, if she drops out, what does she get from Trump? 0, because she's kept punking out Trump and been very vociferous in that, because she was egged on by the national media. And not unlike Suarez, she thought that, well, the more media coverage I get, the better. And if I'm the, like McCain, if I'm the media darling on the Republican side, I win. And she mistook that from actual support, particularly on the Republican voter side. And so now if she drops out, like you said, there is no leverage. And Trump's the master of leverage. Like, there's 0 leverage. There's 0 that she provides Donald Trump. I won't say 0. That's not true. Obviously, it's better if Nikki Haley drops out and endorses Trump. It definitely leaves the purple strategies and no labels people, that kind of stuff, the never Trumpers out on a limb right there. So yes, absolutely. It would be good if Nikki Haley drops out and endorses Trump. But the amount of leverage is so diminished. And in no way, shape, or form could she say, well, it's because I dropped out and endorsed you that you really helped you here, here, and here. Like Trump doesn't need it to win the primary. So she's got to really make the case that she's going to help him in the general, and she's got to get out there and do it. That's the other thing. Can she make that pivot to be able to be a strong endorser and supporter? That's got to be a lot of humble pie, if you will. I don't know. Now, do I think Nikki Haley's up for that as a politician? Oh, absolutely. I don't think that's the big hurdle to jump there necessarily. But I just, this goes back to what I said weeks ago, months ago, that there's no path for Nikki Haley. This is not going to work out well. It reminds me of a worse version of John Kasich, and where's his career now? And I think that you're right, Paul. The longer she stays in, the more bitter Republican voters are going to get. And she's just closed out the door to no labels run. She's saying, I'm a conservative Republican. So what do you think, Pauline? If you were Nikki Haley, what would you do right now? And what do you think about those comments I just made?
Yeah, look, I would be looking to get out of the race quickly. Probably, I would try to get out after tonight. I don't know if she's going to do that or not. That's what I would do. Maybe she's waiting to see how things go tonight. But if your only possible victory is in Vermont, I mean, the end is coming soon. I think you have to get like 1,280 delegates or something. And Trump's, he's going to get a massive amount tonight. I think he came into the day at 250 or 280. I don't know. He could be at 900 plus. I mean, this is only a matter of time. It's very, very soon. He's doing well. Of course, he got the big Supreme Court victory. The lawfare doesn't look like it's going to take him down. I mean, what are you hoping for here if you're Nikki Haley? Look, remember, weeks ago they were talking about that Nikki Haley as the VP. That obviously isn't happening. We could talk about potential VPs.
Oh my gosh, look at you.
Yesterday.
Sorry, real quick. You're an encyclopedia. That's huge. And that's such an important point. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Think of how that level of diminished expectation leverage, Nikki Haley with the leading VP talk to today. Unbelievable. That's well said, but unbelievable. Honestly, Paul, and I'll turn it back to you. The problem that she has is she has no position to go to. Trump's not going to put her in the government. I don't expect that. So she can't do it. I mean, she doesn't have a stage. She doesn't know what, I mean, she's not going to have a stage for the next 4 years. So if I were Nikki Haley, I would do a Ted Cruz and pop on the podcast or get with a think tank or something. She's got to figure out how to be one of the leading voices out there, but she does not have a U.S. Senate seat like Ted Cruz to be able to do it from. So she's really in a tough spot if she wants a future political career. In my opinion, on the Republican side, I don't know. I mean, we continue with your thoughts, but where does she go from here?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure because again, I mean, after all of this, I agree with you. I don't see President Trump giving her a job in the administration. I mean, who knows? I mean, he's a pretty forgiving guy, but it's like, well, what do you give her? You're not going to make her UN ambassador again. I mean, what would you do with her? So, I don't see that right now. And plus, let's be honest, one of the mistakes that Trump made in the last time around was that he had too many people around him that he didn't trust. And so, are you really going to put Nikki Haley in the administration after all of this? I doubt that. I don't think a lot of people would be really excited about that in terms of his inner circle and himself. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, we can talk about, there was, again, there may have been a moment or a very brief moment where there may have been a realistic shot, possibly at a VP potential. I don't think personally, but there isn't any of that now. That's over. So it's important when they do run campaigns, you do need to know when to get out because it's not all upside. There's a whole bunch of downside. And I think she's been in that zone for a while and she certainly is after tonight.
Well, no doubt about it. And I think it's also about being realistic and everything like that. I mean, like you talked about my athletic career. I mean, I was a 4-time national champion. In my opinion, and also a third in the world and stuff. And I was very, very good at powerlifting, judo, wrestling, things like that. But at the same time, I don't want to get into all that type of, I knew what I could do. I knew what I couldn't do. And I knew who I could beat and I knew who I couldn't beat. And, I knew, okay, well, I'm going to, and I was able to move my weight a little bit. Most of my life, I mean, I graduated high school with like 195 pounds or something. And I was young, right? I was young for high school. I was like 195, like 16, 17, something like that. And anyway, so all of my life, I hung out around like 210, 205. I mean, right now I'm somewhere in that zone, right? And probably like 200, somewhere between 197 and 205 is probably where I'm hanging out right now. But, sometimes I'd be like, okay, it's time to go 198. And sometimes like, it's kind of time to go 220 or, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, or, whatever it is. And you have to be realistic. The worst person you can fool is yourself, right? You don't want to do that. The worst person you can fool is yourself. And I think that for a while there, Nikki Haley was fooling herself and largely fueled by the media as well. But listen, I don't want to sit here and psychoanalyze Nikki Haley. It's just, man, we try to tell you, you have to have her. But it goes back to what you said before. What's the judgment? What's the temperament? And Tucker Carlson has said it on the podcast with Lex Friedman, that basically he doesn't think Nikki Haley is very impressive. And he's not saying that because of news reports or what he says in the media. He's met Nikki Haley. He's hung out with Nikki Haley. And there you go. And so I think that Trump, it's a huge win for Trump. A lot of things are going Trump's way. Like you said, the Senator Sinema news, Carrie Lake out there in Arizona, Michelle Obama's not coming in. We're seeing there's news. I guess I haven't read it yet on the E. Jean Carroll case. I'm seeing that on Fox News. So there's some news about that. Some motion for a new trial, I guess. I'm seeing that, but that's breaking news on Fox right there. We're seeing a huge momentum for Trump. There's been a liberal hive mind, a huge channel on YouTube, has posted something about Attorney General Letitia James there with the Trump ruling. I guess apparently, I don't know. I'm just going off the reports. I'm not alleged anything, but I guess Attorney General James has been posting the regular updates about the interest assessment on the Trump punishment, fine, whatever it is. I guess, that it's just very strange. It's very strange, in my opinion. There's different, there's a lot of things. The Georgia case, how's that looking right now? with how is that with the prosecutor of, how is that? There's a lot of things. I think a lot is going Trump's way, Paul. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. I think I don't know what's going on with the Carol thing. There's been discussion about her trying to come back around again for like the third time. Okay, whatever. Look, if there's a political element to these cases, then now as he's kind of consolidating and strengthening, if theoretically that would be what you would try to do, try to weaken him a little bit more, like with the Bragg case. Look, I think now Trump's in a very good position. Now he is going to kind of try to, funnel and power up. And I think now the biggest thing for him is going to be probably, what are you going to do with the VP slot? Where's that going to go? And I don't know how quickly he's going to make that decision. I don't think he feels like he needs to do it.
I would chill on that. Let that play out a little bit.
That's what I think. And my guess would be, if I were him, I would let it ride for a while, because as soon as you pick somebody, the person's going to get all kinds of scrutiny.
Yeah.
So just kind of like hold it down, and maybe you won't even hold it to like the convention.
Well, traditionally it's held to the convention. Exactly right. Or just before, and then the whole thing.
Yeah, you do the whole rollout and everything. So I think he's in a really good spot. Look, there's a whole bunch of all of these different factors and the legal stuff and different just typical media attacks and all that are kind of coming on, that are have whittled away some of the numbers from the kind of monster edge that he had in some of these polls early on. And that, it's inevitable. And again, that's why you do have somebody like Joe, or kind of Joe's appeal. It's just kind of like, oh, he's not that bad of a guy. He's okay, whatever. And, you try to, so on the opposite end, you try to take all these shots at Trump and kind of, get him with 1,000 paper cuts. But look, he's where he needs to be. And things are not that good right now. I know that Biden now is going to try to do like a task force about, supposedly corporations or something are raising the prices. Well, no, I don't think that's where it's come from. But, you have to try to do something about to kind of flip that issue. But the bottom line is this: the price of things is high, and people don't have as much money. And I think it's a challenging economy. And that's going to make it very difficult for Biden to get reelected. His numbers just aren't that good. And at some point, what they're trying to do, the Democrats, is run a comparison election, rather than have it be a referendum. It's like, rather it is, okay, Biden's not that great, but Trump's worse. At some point, if the numbers are so bad and people just aren't feeling good about things, there are limits to being able to run that type of a campaign. And I think we're getting close to those limits.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's also, there's foreign policy stuff out there, things going on in the world. Ukraine is not looking so great. We're seeing more reports on that, where it looks like there's a shortage. There's news reports that there's a shortage of just personnel for the army for Ukraine out there. There's definitely been pushback on the Republican side for more funding for that. And we talk about what's the exit strategy? What's the ROI? What are we going to win? What's it going for? Tucker Carlson said that we're paying for the pensions of the bureaucrats over there. There's a lot of different things going on about that. There's just a devastating documentary that just dropped. I put it on LinkedIn today about, what happened with VP Pence and Dr. Birx and stuff, and Trump, and basically how Birx is kind of going around Trump and stuff, allegedly. I would refer you, and Dr. Scott Atlas and a bunch of Bhattacharya, but a bunch of other luminary epidemiologist from Stanford and Harvard and stuff like that. It's about 25 minutes. Definitely, I think it's worth watching. It kind of gets to the bureaucracy and the deep state of this, type of discussion. But then you also have what's going on in the Middle East there, and I think that and I'll confess, I haven't been like, I know some people are. There's people that are subject matter experts in all these different things. I've followed some of the headlines, but some people are, and understandably so, are following some of these things every day. I'm following it much more casually than that. Because I'm trying to follow everything else and work, and there's you have to pick the news you're going to focus on, right? But we have family over there, very terribly important. But I'm obviously following it. But the point of it is that on the Democratic side, you had no less than squad member AOC. That there's a video out there where you've got some Palestinian protesters or I don't know. I'm not. And I say that in this way about the issue. I have no idea who they are, what the what the nationality, where they come from, or anything like ethnicity, whatever. Where I don't know who they are, right? But they were protesting. They were protesting the Palestinian issue, right? Talking about Gaza and the war in Gaza and stuff like that. And they were talking to AOC, and AOC, seemed to kind of lose it a couple times. And I don't know if she was with a boyfriend, bodyguard, husband. I'm not quite sure. I don't follow, the ins and outs of AOC's personal life. But I mean, you're talking about someone that kind of made her name as a politician on social media. And Paul, she was just not, she wasn't really answering on that. And I think that shows the tensions, I think, in the Democratic Party, especially post Michigan, when you had a lot of people. I think it was like 100,000 people that kind of voted for a no party, or I can't remember what, non-committal, or I can't remember what it was. And very shortly thereafter, all of a sudden, Biden has a statement. Kamala Harris, we need a ceasefire immediately. I think that what I'm saying is, I think there's things going on in the world along with the economy and interest rates. People like, oh, the Fed's going to drop rates. We're going to have a soft landing. Where's that, players? Because that hasn't seemed to evidence itself. And again, I'm not taking any side in these things. I mean, we have our own comments and discussions, and we do that on the John D. Villarreal show on News Talk 1040. But what I'm saying is, it's no better. Biden's working a tough hand here, Paul. I don't think there's smooth sailing for the rest of 2024. I think there's a lot of things that he needs to be engaged with. And you're talking about, a president that some have said doesn't have a heavy schedule and isn't, I think that there's some tough events right now. Paul, your comments real quick.
Yeah, let me just restate this for where we're at on Super Tuesday right now. So basically, President Trump has won 10 out of 10 called races. And we're waiting on Vermont. We're waiting on Minnesota. Both of those, the polls have closed in both of those contests. Minnesota's very early count. Vermont's about 50% through. Trump is up by a very slim margin, although New York Times right now is saying they think Haley's going to win, but we'll have to see how that works out. So 10 races in the books, 2 that are polls are closed, and we're waiting on. Then there'll be 3 more to come in tonight, which will be Alaska, Utah, and California. California and Utah are at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So basically in about an hour and a half. Alaska is 2.5 hours, 12 a.m. Eastern time here on the East Coast. So I just want to kind of restate, because that's, for the people watching the stream for that.
Very important. Let me just say this. I think I can clarify my point a little bit better. I'm not weighing in on any particular issue. If and when I want to do that, I do that other show or other times, whatever like that. What I'm saying is, a political expert, in my opinion, political analyst, is there's a number of issues, right? War in Gaza, war in Ukraine, economy, inflation, border, crime and security, cancel culture, tech monopolies. There's a range of issues that are getting worse and worse and worse. That it's not just a test of choice election versus referendum, mean tweets, who you like, and it's a test of actual competency. The people are worried about policy, and you're seeing whether it's voters in Michigan, whether it's African Americans, whether it's Hispanics, whether it's inner city, world. You're seeing union workers now. That's another one. That's another major issue. Gas, liquid natural gas, oil and gas, EVs, cars. That the manufacturers. I mean, there's this push, this nudge, this force on EVs, climate, everything. There's all these issues now where huge swaths of voters that were on the Democratic side are now up for grabs or going to the Republican side. And it's like the little Dutch boy here, and the dam is breaking and they can't plug it up in time. This is just another issue. And I'm seeing that all these things come, they try to do this. What's happening to Trump, what they try to do to Trump on the lawfare side, the death by 1,000 cuts, is happening to the Biden administration and Democrats on the actual policy and competency side there, Paul. That's what I'm trying to say. And I want to put that over to you. Go ahead, your comments.
Yeah, I'll just say this because I'll hand it back to you quickly because I have to update something because Minnesota's just come in and Trump is on that. So we're now at 11 for 11. I'm kind of putting stuff up. Yeah, I'm putting stuff up on Twitter, so I just have to finish the little picture for that. But look, let me come back to the one thing you said earlier. The person that was with AOC, I believe, was her boyfriend. Okay. Just to kind of clarify that, or fiance, or whatever, significant other.
And we wish them well.
I completely. Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with you, which is you're getting wedge issues happening now for the Democratic Party, and everybody knows it. I mean, they know it. It's being openly discussed. Obviously, you have these kind of nationwide protests going on mostly in support of the Palestinians or ceasefire or whatever. And, Biden has to juggle that because some of the recent polling has showed that, there's still a significant amount of support for Israel. So kind of what do? You have, as you mentioned, a large number of people in Michigan that seem to be unhappy with how Biden's done in terms of what.
Well, and across the country, that's just the latest. I mean, there's large Arab populations over there. People, and Palestinians and different things in Michigan, but you also have a lot of folks different folks around the country. There's a lot of Arabs out there in California. There's a lot of Arabs out here in Florida, all over the country. So, but also people that are sympathetic. Doesn't matter. People. Here's the thing: when you say wedge issue, okay, it's not just wedge issue in politics is typically something that does divide one side, but the other side, the opposing side, will put it in there. We're going to run ads on what fill in the blank, abortion, gun control, whatever, typical wedge issues. The problem is that you're not wrong that these are wedge issues on the Democrat side, but they've done it to themselves. These are their policies. And there's no clarification. Whereas President Trump is, what we've said, what Tucker Carlson said, what I said, early, I may have been first. I certainly was super duper early. President Trump said, "Hey, we love Jewish folks. We love Arab folks. There's great people on both sides. We want peace. War is bad for everybody. War is always bad for everybody. We want peace." Okay. I mean, I've got friends. I got family. I mean, I literally have family over there in Israel. It's not about me, but I'm just saying, we were this close to the Abraham Accords. You've got Trump with the Abraham Accords, and then you've got this in the Biden administration. So you just look at the reality of it, and I think it goes back to your point, Paul. And we can wind down here. I think we've done about an hour here. This is good. It goes back to this, which is you can hear the campaign slogans, or you can look at your pocketbook. When I went to the store the other day, I was at a Publix, and I was looking at orange juice. Maybe we're going to buy some orange juice, dude. Like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, a month ago, let's just say a month ago, it was like $6 a gallon. It's up to $8 a gallon, players. That's the Publix brand. I mean, for orange juice. People just see the reality of the border. There's been a bunch of layoffs in the tech field. VC's getting crushed right now. Venture capital's getting crushed. They understand what the reality is, and they're not happy with the way this is going. Right track, wrong track is really going bad for this administration, and I don't think it's going to get better, Paul.
I agree. I don't know if it's going to get a lot better either. Sorry, I had myself on mute there. Look, as you said, they've got to the Democrats have to try to heal their own internal divisions. And as you mentioned, though, some of this stuff just seems so scripted. I mean, Ro Khanna from the congressman from California went on a show the other day saying basically, hey, Biden needs to do something to kind of change momentum or kind of create momentum, and he needs to do a ceasefire right now. And then, as you said, the next day, here's Kamala coming out saying we need a ceasefire right now. Now, look, I mean, not everybody pays attention to this stuff to the degree that we do, but it's still like, what about a ceasefire 2 months ago? What about, and so on and so forth. It's all a little too convenient. It's all a little too, it just seems so obvious. Something else that they're doing is I think that somebody on Biden's staff wrote to Fox News basically telling them that they shouldn't broadcast any potential impeachment inquiry hearings about Biden and his family. It's like, what is that? I mean, what are you doing? I mean, we've got wall-to-wall coverage of all the Trump legal stuff, but it's like we can cover that and talk about that, but we can't cover this. So there's a lot of, as you said, there's a lot of leaks in the dam, and he's got to deal with that. But look, like I said, I think this is going to be, it's still, in my opinion, it's going to be close. It's going to come down to a couple of different states. And in those states, like Pennsylvania, Joe just plays decently, plays well. And of course, Trump is going to get, he's going to get negative coverage. And, I mean, we have to see. But we've talked about this previously. We'll say it again. If it breaks away, it's going to break hard to Trump. And, if it could be close, my guess is that it will be close. But if it breaks hard, it's going to break for Trump, in my opinion.
And you want to talk about the irony right here, as you said before, and Trump, a Fox News headline definitely brings it out as well. And Trump wins Colorado. We just had the Supreme Court ruling. He was on the ballot. He crushes there, picks up Texas, picks up Massachusetts. This is a Trump route. This is a Trump sweep right here. He may lose one or two, whatever. We'll see. Definitely a big Trump blowout. Okay, we can wind it down right there. Listen, this is great. Obviously good. Always great to have you on, Paul. And I know you're doing a lot of stuff on X. Obviously listen to the John D. Villarreal radio show on News Talk 1040 AM on Tampa. And we do broadcast it live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And we do plan on doing some more frequent shows here and there. And I'm sure there's going to be some future announcements and some things that we're looking at, maybe potentially. So that's good. So I think we'll wind it out there. Huge night for Trump. No doubt about it. Paul will keep updating things on X. How can people find you on X, Paul?
Yes, I am at Aurelius Stoic 1, ARAURELIUS Stoic 1. That's from Marcus Aurelius. Or if you look me up, Paul Villarreal, that's my name, and I probably would come up in a search, although I haven't tried to do that. We're talking every day. I'm there all the time. And as you mentioned, John, we do the radio show once a week on Mondays. So come and check us out. Follow John as well. He needs to build up his following. Want to do that. So, see you on X. I mean, we're there. We love talking to people.
I love it. And I'm always on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, everything like that, and X, and we're going to do it. And pretty soon we're going to be looking, I guess we need to do something on Rumble, and I need to do more on X. And hey, we just got to build it up, and we love it. We love talking to the folks. We love to cover the different issues right here, and that's what we do right now. So listen, we're going to end with that. Big night for Trump. Looking forward to talking to you guys later. For Paul, I'm John. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully my voice will come back. I'll beat this head cold, and we'll see you next time.